I'm Avalon.
And I'm Ray.
And we have less than 10 chapters to go. This one's going to be a little bit longer, but it looks like plot is happening at last.
Thank God, plot.
So let's just jump right in. Catherine pulled her red cape around her, savoring its warmth. Why were the duels outside? Because that's where the training grounds are, I'd assume?
Yeah.
She'd freeze before the assassin arrived. She fingered the vial in her pocket and glanced at the 2 goblets on the wooden table. The one on the right was for Sardothian. She must not confuse them. She looked to Parrington, who stood near the king. He had no idea what she'd do once Sardothian was out of the way. Once Dorian was free again, her blood grew warm and glittering. Get that checked out. Your blood should not be glittering. I'm worried.
No, listen. She's a bad bitch. Her blood can glitter if she wants it to.
I guess. The Duke moved toward her, and Catherine kept her eyes on the tiled veranda where the duel was to occur. He stopped in front of her, making a wall between her and the other council members so that none could see. "A bit chilly for an outside duel," he said. Catherine smiled and let the folds of her cloak fall over the table as he kissed her hand. With the veil of red to conceal her stealthy, free hand, Catherine flicked off the lid of the vial and dumped the contents into the wine. The vial was back in her pocket as he raised himself, just enough to weaken Sardothian, to make her dizzy and disoriented. A guard appeared in the doorway.
Girl, I don't think that's this guy kissing on you. I think it's the drugs.
Well, no, it's for Elisocles.
Oh.
She's referring to the poison will make her dizzy and disoriented.
Okay.
Which, I mean, I guess if you're going to go through the trouble of poisoning her, which, was one of the trials that she passed almost entirely on her own, so I don't feel like that's a great strategy to employ. Also, since when was Catherine doing fucking anything here? Like, what the hell? I know it's been a while, but what?
I mean, there was some mention of it when last time she had a significant POV. She's like, "Oh yes, I must stop Sardothian." And it's like, I don't know. It was mentioned briefly, but
okay.
They're finally coming back around to it. Because this book has pacing issues.
I'm sure it will be very relevant and not at all thwarted immediately.
Yeah.
A guard appeared in the doorway, and then another. Between them strode a figure. She wore men's clothes, though Catherine was forced to admit that her black and gold jacket was of fine make. Ew, she's dressed like a man, but she's a hot man. But I still have to concede her fashion is impeccable. It was strange to think of this woman as an assassin, but seeing her now, all of her oddities and faults made sense. Catherine ran a finger along the base of the goblet and grinned. Duke Parrington's champion emerged from behind the clock tower. Catherine's brows rose. They thought Sardothian could defeat such a man if she wasn't drugged? Catherine took a step back from the table, and Parrington moved to sit beside the king as the other 2 champions arrived. With eager faces, they waited for blood.
Blood.
POV switch tilde. Standing on the wide veranda that encompassed the obsidian clock tower, Elisocles tried not to shiver. She couldn't see the point in having the duels outside. Well, apart from making the champions even more uncomfortable. Where would they hold them inside? Name me a space inside the castle that is suitable for armed combat.
Little do we not recall, I guess, the castle is made of fucking glass.
Yeah, you want to be slammed on the hard glass floor? At least presumably out here there's
grass.
There's it's a tiled veranda, but one would assume that beneath that there's dirt, sand, maybe some grass patches. Again, I don't know why they're not doing this in the training grounds where it's presumably a dirt floor.
Yeah.
Because if the goal is not to kill them, which again, very unclear. Very unclear if these duels are to the death or not, because they keep being like, oh, they're waiting for blood and it's going to be a massacre. But then they are like, oh, well, the loser just leaves. Like, again, what are the stakes? Yes, we know that fucking Cain is probably going to try to kill Elisicles. We understand that. But what are the stakes for... What do the public believe the stakes are here? Is the question. And we don't know. Anyway.
I don't think Sarah J. Maas thought that far ahead.
I don't either. She glanced longingly at the glass windows that lined the wall of the castle, and then the frost-covered garden. Her hands were already numb. Tucking them into her fur-lined pockets, she approached Kaol, who was standing near the edge of the giant chalk circle that had been drawn on the flagstones.
Girl, you are wearing fur and you're complaining about it being cold? Like...
Girl.
Fur is very insulating. Like, unless you're standing out here in a blizzard, you would be sweating a little bit, at least.
Yeah, it's... Alright. It's freezing out here, she said. The collar and sleeves of her black jacket were lined with rabbit fur, but it wasn't enough. Yes, it is. Unless it is actively blizzarding right now, yes, the fuck it is. I have been for walks in lower than 30-degree weather wearing not fur and been fine. Like, in my sweatpants and some flannel and, like, a wool sweater. Yeah, like, and that is perfectly fine if you're moving around. Like, in fur, you're fine.
You're fine, bitch.
Why didn't you tell me it was outside?
Kaol shook
You're wearing a fucking fur coat!
We gotta give that up or else it's gonna be every time.
I'm going to kill you!
Kaol shook his head, looking at Grave and at Renault, the mercenary from Skull's Bay, who to her satisfaction also seemed fairly miserable in the cold. Our hero, everybody.
Yeah, he sucks too. He's also hating this, and that makes me feel better.
What did this guy ever do to you?
We didn't know. The king decided just now, Kaol said. At least it should be over quickly. He smiled slightly, though she didn't return it. The sky was bright blue. So it's fucking sunny out? Like, not to say that it can't be cold and sunny at the same time, but oh my god. And she gritted her teeth as a strong gust of wind ripped into her. The 13 seats of the table were filling up, and at the center of the table sat the king and Parrington. Catherine stood behind Parrington, wearing a beautiful red cloak lined with white fur. Their eyes met, and Elisicles wondered why the woman smiled at... No, that's right, she's not Elisicles anymore. I forgot, she's Phoebe. Because Elisicles deserved better. Sorry about that. Phoebe wondered why the woman smiled at her. Catherine then looked away, toward the tower, and Phoebe followed her gaze and understood. Cain was leaning against the clock tower. His muscles were barely contained within his tunic.
He's just bursting out.
Hulking out. All that stolen strength. What would have happened if the Ritterak had killed her too? How much stronger would he be today? Worse, he was wearing the red and gold garb of a member of the royal guard, the wyvern emblazoned across his broad chest. The sword at his side was beautiful, a gift from Parrington, no doubt. Did the Duke know the power his champion wielded? Even if she tried to reveal him, no one would believe her. Yeah, if only you had talked to Kaol earlier. Then maybe you'd have someone of repute on your side to back up your claim.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
Then he and the guards could have investigated this.
Like, you didn't even... It's not even the case of, like, oh, she tried and they found nothing.
Yeah.
She didn't even try.
He didn't even say shit. For some reason.
To pad out this already padded-ass book. Nausea gripped her, but Kaol took her by the elbow and escorted her to the far end of the veranda. At the table, she noticed 2 aging men casting anxious glances at her. She nodded to them.
Lord Urizen and Garnel, it seems you obtained what you desired enough to kill for, and it seems someone told you who I actually am.
It had been 2 years ago that they hired her separately to kill the same man. She hadn't bothered to tell them, of course, and accepted both their payments.
Okay,
Based.
that's some queen shit. Give it up for Phoebe. You did one badass thing. She's all like, yeah, I'll take both of y'all's money.
But also, like, the fuck? Why are we... Oh, here's two random guys she did a job for. Like, you know, have they been here the whole time? What is their position here? Why are they at the castle? Are they also backing champions? Because if so, their champions would probably... I mean, I guess there's two other ones, Grave and Renault. Are they Grave and Renault's backers? Like, why are we just now learning these names? Less than 100 pages to the end of the book.
Who the fuck is Sam?
Who's Sam? And I know they're, like, really incidental characters, but, like, they are incidental characters. You could have mentioned them before now, because bringing them up now makes it seem like they matter more than they do. Anyway.
But they don't. She's just bringing up the fact that she has been hired specifically by some nobles watching her, and they know who she is now. It really is as basic as that.
Except, why would they know who she is? Because apparently no one knew that Adderlin's assassin was a girl, so how did they, like, recognize her? Or, oh, someone had told them who she was, and this is dumb. This is dumb.
This is dumb, but, you know, whatever.
She winked at Lord Garnel, and he paled, knocking over his goblet of hot cocoa and ruining the papers before him. So she's got poison wine, and this bitch is drinking hot cocoa. Not like warm cider or something like that.
You know.
Hot cocoa.
Hot cocoa.
And ruining the papers before him. Oh, she'd keep their secrets. It would tarnish her reputation otherwise. But if her freedom came down to a vote... She smiled at Lord Urizen, who looked away. Her gaze shifted to another man who she found staring at her. The king. Deep inside she quaked, but she bowed her head. So once again, oh, if her freedom came down to a vote, whence? Wherefore? Why would it ever come down to a vote?
Yeah.
I'm assuming she means after the 4 years of her being champion are up, which... She should be free to go then if the king doesn't just kill her for knowing too much, which is another distinct possibility that she has not raised to herself. And also, when covering thine own asses, nobles are not exactly known to make friends.
Yeah.
They would probably just kill her.
Yeah. If anything, it would be smarter just to kill her because she would know about them hiring an assassin to kill a guy.
Just,
like, if anything, they would get rid of you to cover up any potential blackmail you have on them.
Idiocy all around. Are you ready? Kaol asked. Phoebe blinked, remembering that he was beside her. Yes, she said, though she didn't mean it. The wind whipped through her hair, knotting it with frozen fingers. Dorian appeared. Do you need a moment to get comfy in the chair?
Nah,
Okay.
I just...
Dorian appeared by the table, heartbreakingly handsome as always, and gave her a grim smile as he stuffed his hands in his pocket and looked toward his father. The last of the king's councilmen sat down at the table. Phoebe cocked her head as Nehemia emerged to stand along the sidelines of the large white circle. The princess met her stare and lifted her chin in encouragement. She wore a spectacular outfit, close-fitting pants, a layered tunic studded with whorls of iron, and knee-high boots. She carried her wooden staff, which stretched as high as her head. To honor her, Phoebe realized, her eyes stinging, one fellow warrior acknowledging the other. Okay. No comment. Everyone grew silent as the king rose. Her insides turned to stone, and she felt clumsy and thick, but also light and weak as a newborn. Kaol nudged her with an elbow, motioning for her to stand before the table. She focused on her feet as she moved, and wouldn't look at the king's face. Thankfully, Renault and Grave flanked her. If Cain had been standing beside her, she might have snapped his neck just to end it there. There were so many people watching her. She stood not 10 feet from the king of Adderlin. Freedom or death lay at this table. Her past and future were seated on a glass throne. Her gaze shifted to Nehemia, whose fierce and graceful eyes warmed the marrow of her bones and steadied her arms. Gay. They're gay, Your Honor.
Gay!
Please, just let them kiss.
No, Nehemia deserves better.
Yeah. The King of Adeline spoke, knowing that seeing his face would only weaken the strength she'd found in Nehemia's eyes. Finding strength in her eyes, bitch. Come on. She looked not at him, but at the throne behind him. She wondered if Catherine's presence meant Duke Parrington had told her who Alyssocles, or Phoebe, truly was. Okay, that took me a second to figure out, but got it. You were taken from your miserable lives, so you might prove yourself worthy of becoming a sacred warrior to the crown. After months of training, the moment has come to decide who my champion shall be. You will face each other in a duel. You can win only by trapping your opponent in a position of sure death, and no further, he added with a sharp glance in her direction. Kane and Councilman Garnell's champion will go first. Then my son's champion will face Councilman Mullison's champion. Of course the king would know Kane's name. He might as well have just declared the brute as champion. Okay, I'm glad that did not go uncommented on. The winners will face each other in the final duel. Whoever wins will be crowned king's champion. Is that clear? So, okay, at least we are confirming they are not to fight to the death.
Yeah.
They're basically they have to put each other into check. Like, okay,
Checkmate.
fine. Well, checkmate, yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so the stakes are clear. Okay, that is what I asked for.
Yeah.
Not what I would have done, but okay, fine. Stakes are clear. They nodded. For a heartbeat, she saw the king with stark clarity. He was just a man. I'm just a man. A man with too much power. And in that one heartbeat, she didn't fear him. I will not be afraid, she vowed, wrapping the familiar words around her heart. Then let the duels commence on my command, the king said. Taking that as a sign that she should clear out of the ring, Phoebe stalked to where Chaol stood and took up a place beside him. Kane and Reynald bowed to the king, then to each other, and drew their swords. Okay, so confirmed, they are the backers for these champions. Why couldn't you have said that earlier? Why are we introducing them now?
I don't know, man.
Good opportunity for world building.
I don't think Sarah J. Maas knows either.
I don't think these characters existed before right now. She ran an eye down Reynald's body as he took his stance. She'd seen him square off against Kane before. He'd never won, but he always managed to hold out longer than she would have thought possible. Perhaps he'd win. Bitch, please. But Kane lifted his sword. He had the better weapon, and he had half a foot on Reynald. Begin, the king said. Metal flashed.
So they're coming at this with like unequal weapons. That doesn't
like Kane's sword is apparently a gift from Parrington, so
yeah, but still,
okay, it's
like,
high quality, but
would he be allowed to use that in a fight where it's supposed to be like specifically about their skills and not how good their weapons are?
I mean, the king's pretty much already said, you know.
Maybe I'm just a nitpicky bitch, but I'm just like...
This is not tournament regulation.
Yeah, this isn't tournament regulation.
This is not regulation standard. If this was a joust, you would be disqualified.
Yeah, pretty much.
Oh, also, no. I'm going back to previous. Who the fuck is Mullison's champ? So Grave is Mullison's champion. So now we got another name in here.
It's just some guy.
Just use the other guy. Like, god damn. Metal flashed. They struck each other and danced back. Reynald, refusing to take up the defensive, swept forward again, landing a few strong blows on Kane's blade. She forced her shoulders to relax, forced herself to breathe down the cold air. Do you think it was just poor luck, she murmured to Chaol, that I'm the one going second? He kept his attention on the duel. I think you'll be allowed proper time to rest. He jerked his chin at the dueling men. Kane sometimes forgets to guard his right side. Look there. Phoebe watched as Kane struck, twisting his body so his right side was wide open. Renault doesn't even notice, Kane grunted, and pressed Renault's blade, forcing the mercenary to take a step back. He just missed his chance. The wind roared around them. Keep your wits about you, Kael said, still watching the duel. Renault was retreating, each swing of Kane's blade taking him closer and closer to the line of chalk that had been drawn on the ground. One step outside of that ring and he'd be disqualified.
Oh,
No.
So wait, this
No.
is just... I thought they were supposed to getting each other into checkmate.
You can win only by trapping your opponent in a position of sure death. It says nothing about stepping outside the ring.
Yeah, like, am I just all like, so this is a fencing match now? Like... Okay.
No, wrong, incorrect. And it's literally on the opposite page. Are we doing this by tournament regulations? What
are we going by tournament regulations, or is this a fight to near death? You decide.
Yeah, why is there even a chalk circle if they're supposed to be fighting in a position of sure death? Stepping outside the ring is not a position of sure death. That should be like, you could work this in. You could make this work if it was like, oh, if you forfeit, leave the ring. And then you could show off how brutal Kane is if Renault tries to leave the ring to forfeit and Kane won't let him.
Yeah.
And just keeps beating the shit out of him until the king decides that he's on death's doorstep.
But
that could be some good fucking sticks building.
Yeah, but unfortunately this was not edited, and Sarah J. Maas just forgets what she wrote like a few paragraphs ago.
He'll try to provoke you. Don't get angry. Focus only on his blade and that unprotected side of his. I know, she said, and shifted her gaze back to the duel just in time to see Renault cry out and stumble back. Blood sprayed from his nose, and he hit the ground hard.
Jesus fuck.
Kane, his fist smeared with Renault's blood, only smiled as he pointed the blade at Renault's heart. The mercenary's bloody face went white, and he bared his teeth as he stared up at his conqueror.
Isn't this...
So, match.
Yeah, match.
That's match. She looked at the clock tower. He hadn't lasted 3 minutes. There was polite clapping, and Phoebe noticed that Lord Darnold's face was set with fury.
They're just golf clapping like...
She could only guess how much money he'd just lost. A valiant effort, said the king. Kane bowed and didn't offer Renault a hand to help him rise before he stalked toward the opposite end of the veranda. With more dignity than Phoebe had expected, Renault got to his feet and bowed to the king, mumbling his thanks. Clutching his nose, the mercenary slunk away. What had he stood to lose, and where would he return to now?
Probably prison, just like you, bitch.
I mean, he's a mercenary. Like, assumedly he just goes back to being a mercenary. Because he wasn't one of the criminals, I guess.
Fair.
Across the ring, Graves smiled at her as he wrapped a hand around the hilt of his sword. She bit down on her grimace at the sight of his teeth. Of course she'd have to duel the grotesque one. At least Renault had been clean-looking. We're really gonna take a moment right now to take pot shots at this guy's appearance. Fucking really?
Girl, you came in like... You came in looking like hell, too. Don't even play.
We will begin in a moment, the king said. Prepare your weapons. With that, he turned to Parrington and began speaking too quietly for anyone else to hear in the blustering wind. Phoebe turned to Kael, but instead of handing her the plain-as-porridge sword she usually wielded in practice, he drew his own blade. The eagle-shaped pommel glinted in the midday sun. Here, he said. She blinked at the blade and slowly raised her face to look at him. She found the rolling earthen hills of the north in his eyes. It was a sense of loyalty to his country that went beyond the man seated at the table. Far inside her, she found a golden chain that bound them together. Take it, he said. Her heartbeat thundered in her ears. She lifted a hand to grab the blade, but someone touched her elbow. If I may, Nehemia said in Elway, I'd like to offer this to you instead. The princess held out her beautifully carved iron-tipped staff. Phoebe glanced... No.
Do not bring a staff to a sword fight.
Staffs are good weapons. Don't get me wrong. They have additional range that a sword doesn't. But Kane's strength I mean, and we're not even at Kane yet. We're against Grave. He will cut through that fucker.
Yeah. But it's like, no.
And
no.
I'm not even wild about Kale offering her his sword. Like, it's a nice gesture.
Yeah.
It's a symbolic, this is how close they've gotten to each other, although I still don't think that they've confirmed that very well.
Yeah.
Shitty writing and all.
Yeah.
But she hasn't practiced with either of these weapons. Like, even if she is generally skilled with swords, this is a completely different sword with different weight and seems to be more ornamental than anything if it's got an eagle-shaped pommel. Like, yeah, her sword might be plain, but she's practiced with it. She's used to it. She could use it well. And wouldn't that reiterate the words, I'm having a hard time here.
It's okay.
Wouldn't that reiterate the themes of not judging on appearance, that she uses this very plain sword against this very fancy and beautiful one that Kane has got. We're not even to the Kane fight yet, but we all know Grave is of no consequence.
I mean, to be fair, if we're doing this whole don't judge on appearances shit, she just fucking negged some guy for being dirty, okay? Like, there are no themes that in this book that do not only exist when Sarah J. Maas remembers they exist.
I know, I'm just... the better book in my head that I'm writing, this is what would happen, right? Let's see who she accepts here, or if she does accept either one. Phoebe glanced between Kale's sword and her friend's weapon. The sword obviously was the wiser choice, and for Kale to offer his own weapon made her feel strangely lightheaded. But the staff... Nehemia leaned in to whisper in Phoebe's ear. Let it be with an Elway weapon that you take them down. Her voice hitched. Let wood from the forests of Elway defeat steel from Adderlin. Let the king's champion be someone who understands how the innocent suffer. Hadn't Celaena said almost the same thing all those months ago? Phoebe swallowed hard, and Kale lowered his sword, taking a step back from them. Nehemia didn't break her stare. She knew what the princess was asking of her. As the king's champion, she might find ways to save countless lives, ways to undermine the king's authority. And that will get you fucking killed.
Yeah, if you're the king's champion and you're trying to undermine his authority,
he will just execute you.
Yeah, he'll just feel like, I guess I don't have a champion anymore.
Like, have we not spent most of the book talking about how ruthless and evil this guy is?
And also the fact that, like, she doesn't necessarily want to be the king's champion because she'll be under his thumb. She's more after her freedom than anything. It's like...
And also, do you think that the king's not going to notice this little subtle act of rebellion? Like, this has clear political ramifications. Do you think he's going to allow it, even? Like...
Oh, I mean, I'm sure.
Oh, of course.
Because this book was written in one draft. Like, maybe with spell check on. Like...
And that, Phoebe realized, was what Elena, the king's own ancestor, might want too. Though a bolt of fear went through her at the thought, though standing against the king was the one thing Phoebe thought she'd never be brave enough to do. When? She couldn't forget the 3 scars on her back, or the slaves she'd left in Endovier, or the 500 butchered Elway rebels. Really, 'cause you forget 'em all the time. Phoebe took the staff from Nehemia's hands. The princess gave her a fierce grin. Kale, surprisingly enough, didn't object. He only sheathed his sword and bowed his head to Nehemia as she clapped Phoebe on the shoulder before she walked off. And this is one of those things where I'm like, this is a scene that was written with, like, a movie adaptation in mind.
Yeah.
Like, this is one of those things where... And I'm equally as guilty of this as an author, too. I just try to blend it a little better.
It's all like, this'll be in the trailer.
Well, yeah, it's like, okay, clearly you just had an idea for, like, this badass scene, and you wanted to use it. And I understand that.
Yeah.
But this is a case of kill your darlings.
Yeah.
Which does not mean kill off your characters. I am so sick of people thinking that kill your darlings means kill your characters. It does not. Kill your darlings means you might have this really cool idea for a scene, but it doesn't fit thematically. It fucks with the pacing. It's just not what the characters would do at this point of their characterization. It doesn't work for the final product.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the kind of shit that I put on my Patreon so that my supporters, and my coffee as well, so my supporters can see the stuff that I'm like, hey, I really liked this scene. It didn't end up working out for the final cut, but I really liked it. So here's a deleted scene for you of something that may have happened at one point of drafting, but isn't going to be in the final product.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have a lot of deleted scenes, but I do have some, and they are available over on my Patreon, and future scenes will also be up on my Ko-fi. So if you want to take a look at that and see the kinds of things that get cut out,
and join our Ko-fi/Patreon.
Yeah, become a supporter of Roselin Books to help me pay my bills and continue doing this work. Anyway. Phoebe gave the staff a few experimental sweeps in the space around her. Balanced, solid, strong. The rounded iron tip could knock a man out cold.
You have never once used a staff in any of these challenges.
Yeah. Like this, again, this could have been a thing. This could be calling back to when she was, like, training with Nehemia that one time, and they could have been, you know, maybe Celaena used her staff then, and she was like, wow, this feels really natural and right.
Yeah.
I wish I could use this instead. But no, we don't even
have that.
Nope. Just, okay, here we go. She could feel the lingering oil from Nehemia's hand and smell her friend's lotus blossom scent on the engraved wood. Lesbians.
That's very gay of you to note.
Yes, the staff would do just fine. She'd taken down Varen with her bare hands. She could defeat Grave and Cain with this. She glanced at the king, who was still speaking with Parrington, and found Dorian watching her instead. His sapphire eyes reflected the brilliance of the sky. We got it! We got gem eyes! Though they darkened slightly as he flicked them toward Nehemia. Dorian was many things, but he wasn't stupid. Had he realized the symbolism in Nehemia's offer? It'd be kind of fucking hard not to.
Yeah.
She quickly dropped his stare. She'd worry about that later. Across the ring, Grave began pacing, waiting for the king to return his attention to the duel and give the order to begin. She loosed a shuddering breath. Here she was at long last. She gripped the staff in her left hand, taking in the strength of the wood, the strength of her friend. A lot could happen in a few minutes. A lot could change. She faced Chaol. The wind ripped a few strands of hair from her braid, and she tucked them behind her ears. No matter what happens, she said quietly, I wanna thank you. Wow. Gratitude?
Wow.
Chaol tilted his head to the side. For what? Her eyes stung, but she blamed it on the fierce wind and blinked away the dampness. For making my freedom mean something. Okay, again, that's a line, I guess. It doesn't really...
Once again, is this for the trailer?
Yeah, I'm just sitting here like, when did he do that? In what ways? Wouldn't Nehemia be the one who's made your freedom mean something more in this scene?
For real. No, we gotta ship tease them for what, the next book?
Yeah. He didn't say anything. He just took the fingers of her right hand and held them in his thumb brushing the ring she wore. Let the second duel commence, the king boomed, waving a hand toward the veranda. Chaol squeezed her hand, his skin warm in the frigid air. Give him hell, he said. Grave entered the ring and drew his sword.
When you see my face, it gives you hell, it gives you hell.
Pulling her hand from Chaol's, Phoebe straightened her spine as she stepped into the ring. She quickly bowed to the king, then to her opponent. She met Grave's stare and smiled as she bent her knees, holding the staff in two hands. You have no idea what you're getting yourself into, little man. And that's the end of chapter 47. Yeah, Boy, this sure was writing.
Yeah, It sure is that.
There sure are words on that page.
Nothing else.
None of them make me feel anything particular. I'm not hyped for this fight. Honestly, I will be surprised if we even get to see the fight with Graves, or if they just skip over it to, well, she won, time to fight Kane now. Like, there's just so many missed opportunities in this chapter. I really feel like this chapter exemplifies the lack of thought put into any of this, because we had an opportunity to show off the king's ruthlessness. We had an opportunity to show off how bloodthirsty Kane is. The king said that only a battle to near death would declare victory, but then we have getting out of the ring is another way, and that's within a page of each other, that's contradicting itself. We have the weapons thing, where we haven't set up any of this. And again, an opportunity to be, hey, he's got this cool, fancy, beautiful sword, but oftentimes those swords are ornamental and not actually for use in combat, versus her plain training sword, which she's practiced with and knows very well. And wouldn't that be thematic if she's been being, underestimated the entire time and then wins with a sword that is assumed to be less than? But no, none of that. Not a single opportunity taken. Not a single theme expanded on. Not a character realized in their potential. No arcs concluded. Just, here's a generic fantasy tournament scene. Like, the most generic fantasy tournament scene that I could fucking think of. It doesn't even feel like the semifinals.
I'm just looking at the back, and not, because they have all of the books on the back cover.
Yeah.
And in not one of these multiple weapons that she's holding, she's never once holding a staff.
Oh, the staff is gonna break.
Yeah.
The staff is going to break.
Yeah.
I would place money on it right now. That staff is broken.
Yeah.
Immediately.
But they have her with dual blades on the front. There's another one with dual blades. There's a long sword, there's a bow, there's another long sword, there's another long sword, there's a shield, and another long sword. But she never once has a staff.
Yeah. Or hell, if you really want a symbolism moment with Kaol, what if he had a blade made for her that fits her, that suits her fighting style? Also, when has she used dual swords this entire fucking book? I know that, and this is another reason why I self-publish, because I am such a control freak about shit like this. I know the author usually doesn't get much say in cover art, or art really of any kind when it comes to traditional publishing. That is all decided by the publisher. They have their own internal teams and market research and all that stuff. But it bothers me when you're trying to set up some kind of iconic image and it's just nowhere in the book.
Listen, babe, I get what you're saying about writers not having any, power over their covers and whatnot. But I assure you Sarah J. Maas did, because Sarah J. Maas was also just able to not have an editor and get published.
Yeah, or maybe she just didn't care. But even, going back to the style and what time period does this take place in, look at that bitch. Look at her ass. Does that look like anything fantasy even? Her outfit?
I mean...
She's wearing a jacket, what looks like a ripped up tank top, leather pants, and a useless statement belt.
Useless statement belt. She's wearing all tight leather, and I'm just over here oh, that...
It doesn't give fantasy to me.
No. Well, I mean, it could be what's it? A modern, dark fantasy or something.
Yeah,
but
I'd buy
modern dark fantasy. Certainly not pseudo-Victorian, like, this book seems to be going for. But yeah, certainly, certainly she wouldn't be strutting around in patent leather and a statement belt.
We're almost done.
We're so close.
We're almost done, and I'm
We're
just
so
gonna cling to
close
that.
yet so far. I'm looking at how many pages we have left, knowing that, you know, there's also, like, a good chunk of it devoted to, you know, extras and crap like that. We have so few pages left, but still so many chapters left. It's like pulling teeth to finish this book.
I'm just hoping they'll be short. Anyway, that's all we've got for you this week, Rose Garden. Keep growing till next time, and wish us luck.
Bye.